Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lore and Loot, Morrowind. Last time we reached the city of Balmora. Today, we're going to take a tour of Balmora, and then we're going to get on with the main quest. First of all, let's start by getting a layout of the town. Balmora is located in the West Gash region of Vvardenfell. Just to the south of Balmora is where the Ascadian Isles region starts, and over the mountains to the west and southwest, you will find the Bitter Coast. To the northeast, you start getting into the Ashlands. Balmora means stone forest in the ancient Dunmer language. Balmora is the house seat for House Lalu, one of Vvardenfell's three great houses, though no actual Lalu councillors live here. Balmora is divided into east and west by the Odai River, which flows directly through the middle of the city, with three stone bridges allowing citizens to cross the river. To the west is the commercial district, and northwest is what is known as Hightown, where the richer citizens reside. Far to the north is the local tribunal temple. The commercial district is comprised of taverns, corner clubs, pubs, as well as merchants such as pawnbrokers and blacksmiths. Hightown is comprised of the larger manors in the town, with two guard towers overlooking the central plaza. And as I mentioned earlier, the temple is just outside of town, far to the north. The east side of town is known as Labor Town, and as the name implies, is comprised of the more modest homes of the working folk in the city. There is a guard tower here as well, and the South Wall Corner Club is the only other non-residential building in this district. Let's take a look at some places of interest around town. Now, we just mentioned the South Wall Corner Club. The South Wall Corner Club is the working class pub in town. It is owned by Bacola Clausius, whom we will meet later. The Siltstrider port off the south wall here takes travelers to Alderun, Seydanin, Saran, and Vivek City. Just north of the Siltstrider are two other corner clubs. The first is the Council Club. This is the local hangout for the Kimona Tong in Balmora, and a non-Dunmer and even foreign Dunmer may receive a cool welcome from the patrons here. The place is run by Banor Seren. The second is the Lucky Lockup, owned by Benunius Argudilius. In addition to offering beds to rest in, the Lucky Lockup is where you can find the master trainer in Shortblade, Todd Wendy. Next, we'll stop by the Merchants Plaza. We're going to start at the north end of the square and go clockwise. First is Clagius Clanler Outfitter, where you can find clothes and accessories. Next, we have the armorsmith Arnor. Just north is Dorissa Dravel, the bookseller. Across the street is the headquarters of the local Fighters Guild and Mages Guild. Revere owns the trader shop just south of the Mages Guild. He is one of the people that can buy skooma and moon sugar off of you. And finally, off on its own is Dralasa Nithrian, pawnbroker, on the southwest corner of the plaza. Now, just to the north of this little square are two more places of interest. First is the inn and public house Eight Plates, where you can find House Lalu members wetting their whistle. It is owned by Dunlea Ralal. And across the street is the Razor Hole, the local weaponsmith, owned by Thorek. North of town is the local Tribunal Temple, offering services for its members. Here you can buy potions and spells if you are a member of the temple, and maybe some healing even if you aren't a member. Alright, now for Hightown. Hightown District is mostly residential buildings, mostly bigger manors owned by the richer folk, but here we do find the Lalu Council Manor, where House Lalu members can receive training and missions. At the north end of the district are two high-end shops. On the right here is an Arcaria of Whitehaven, alchemist, and right next to her shop is Millie Hastian, a fine clothier. The Morak Tong also has a guild house here, but we don't talk about them. And that's about it. That's the grand tour of Balmora. Now, when we arrived here, We were supposed to meet with somebody. Let's go ahead and take a look at our orders. We were told to get to Balmora and deliver this package to Caius Casades. We're told to go to the Southwall Corner Club and ask about him there. Well, we already know that the Southwall Corner Club is in the Labor District, so we'll go ahead and make our way over the river and start asking where we can find him. Now, I will note that you'll notice that a lot of the characters in this game have kind of complicated names. So if I pronounce a name a way that you don't think it's pronounced, I mean, I don't even know. You can try to correct me, but I mean, who really knows how to pronounce these names? So I'm just going to do the best I can with some of these names.
What say you?
Once we enter, we find ourselves in a dimly lit tavern. We ask Sotilda here about Caius. She tells us to ask the owner of the place, Bacola Clausius, where he is. She also tells us that Caius is a sugar tooth, eh? That's a little strange. Now, heading down the hall, we'll start looking for Bacola Clausius. So this is Arathor the Bosmer, Sugar Lips Habasi, a Khajiit.
Something?
Now down here in the lower levels, we have the Breton Thane Riel, Tapius Esdrecus the Imperial. Only he stands there, the Argonian standing there. And finally, Chiranir, Khajiit. Now all of these folk are associated with the Thieves Guild, but we'll deal with the guilds later on. Heading upstairs, we can finally find Bacola Clausius and asking about Caius Casades. Bacola tells us Caius' house is just up the road. Oh my. Well, this is not what I expected when we were supposed to meet one of the Emperor's agents, but
Anytime.
well,
now.
all right. All right, let's talk to this guy. We'll tell him that we're supposed to report to him, and we hand him the package. After reading it, he proclaims us a novice in the Blades. What are the Blades? What? Why did we just get inducted to the Blades? What the blazes is going on? We might get some answers from him later on, but for now he tells us that we can use his bed to sleep if we need, but we mustn't touch his personal stash, his drugs. He also tells us we should hit up the Blades trainers. Now this starts the minor side quest, Blades Trainers. The Blades Trainers are important to take a look at. There are 7 Blades Trainers in Vvardenfell, and it is beneficial to track them down and get training from them, so I'm going to go ahead and show you where each of them are. Now, if we ask him about each of them individually, he'll give us more specific directions as to how to get to each of them, and we'll mark all of this in our journal for future reference. Now, there are no map markers in this game. You just kind of have to follow the directions that he gives us. And yeah, this turns a lot of people off Morrowind, but that's just how it is. There's no hand-holding here. There are 3 trainers in Balmora. Exiting Caius' house and going 2 houses down, we find Rithleen. She lives upstairs. Rithleen is a warrior class. As such, she provides training befitting a warrior. Longblade, block, and medium armor. Now, we use Longblade, it's one of our skills, so maybe we'll come back when we have a little bit more money and take her up on the training. The cost of training goes up the higher your skill, so each time you train, it costs more money. However, you can train indefinitely as long as you have the funds for it. Just downstairs from her house, we find Tyre Malin, the Altmer healer. He not only trains, but he sells various goods and can teach us spells. Uh, I guess we'll have to put down our skooma and moon sugar if we want to trade with him. I'm just going to put this on your floor right here. Don't mind me. Okay, where were we? Right, barter. Ha. He offers various potions and a few nicer alchemic ingredients. A good thing to note is that he sells restore attribute potions, which are incredibly important if you get hit with one of the really annoying damage attribute spells or effects. If you ask him about blades trainers, you will get a free journeyman's alembic, so it's not too shabby if you're an alchemist. He offers some spells as well, though oddly enough, only one of them is a restoration spell. Being a healer, you would think he would teach more than just one restoration spell, but whatever. Most of his spells are in the alteration school. Things like feather and jump are pretty useful, but we're not big on casting alteration spells, so we're gonna skip these. It's not like we have the money for them anyway. As far as training, he teaches us enchant, mysticism, and restoration. Ninetoes is a final trainer in Balmora, and he lives on the street down one level from here. He has a 2-story house, and he can be found upstairs. Ninetoes is a hunter class, and he can train us in athletics, illusion, and sneak. If you ask him about the blades trainers, he gives you 4 moon sugar, so neat. Our next stop is Caldera. Caldera is a city north of Balmora, and the trip there is as straightforward as leaving town north and following the road. It's not far. We'll cover Caldera in its entirety in a later video. There's only one trainer in Caldera, and she can be found fairly easily. Serene Leoriane's house is right next to the path leading up to the Citadel here. She can be found upstairs. She's a mage, and she can offer training in mysticism, restoration, and destruction. If you ask her about the Blades trainers, she tells you to purchase a detect enchantment spell from some guy up in the fort. Nothing too useful for us. Alderaan is much further north and in a completely different region. However, the Blades trainer here is not too hard to find once you actually get into the city. Gildan is a Nightblade, and her house is right next to the steps up to the Alderaan Temple. She offers training in alteration, mysticism, and illusion. She also sells some spells. Particularly useful are her invisibility and chameleon spells if you are playing a sneaky character with a good illusion skill. Silence is also a pretty nifty spell if you're fighting a spellcaster. Alright, now for Jorvar Horsemouth. Jorvar is not easy to find. He owns a small guar ranch southwest of Alderaan and northwest of Caldera. This is the easiest way I can describe it to you. If you leave Caldera via the north gate, take the following paths when the road splits: right, left, left. If you pass by a Redgar woman named Pemini on your way, you're going the right way. Jorvar's ranch is the first left after you see Pemini. His house is in the West Gash region, so if you wander into the Bitter Coast, you've gone too far. Jorvar is a master at arms, and he teaches axe, blunt weapon, and long blade. We've already met Eloni. We just didn't know she was a blades trainer. We know where to find her. She's in Ariel's trade house in Seydonin on the second floor. Eloni teaches us long blade, athletics, and medium armor. Now, that's it for the blades trainers. Most of the training they offer only goes up to level 50, though Eloni can train your long blade up to level 62. If you are already at that level or higher, then you'll have to seek your training elsewhere.
I'm listening.
Back at Caius Casades' house, we can ask him about orders, and he'll tell us that he needs us to establish ourselves in order to gain skill and experience. He gives us a small stipend of 200 gold and tells us to equip ourselves and he also tells us to join a guild. Now, as far as freelance work, he tells us that adventuring is a common profession in Vvardenfell, and we can just go around and kill stuff. And that's true, but if we want to get better paid and better trained as we kill the stuff we're probably already going to be killing anyways, we may as well join a guild. So that's what we're going to do. Now, the character I made here is a fighter type. Heavy armor, long blade, as well as athleticism and acrobatics with a little side of some restoration magic. So I think the Fighters Guild is the best fit for us. Now we can ask him about the Fighters Guild, and Caius tells us that the Fighters Guild is the organization chartered by the Empire to regulate the hiring and training of mercenaries. We get cheaper training and services from them if we become a member, and indeed, sometimes they won't even offer training or services to non-members, so it behooves us to join. Now, if we want to join, we need to talk to Idus Fireeye here in Balmorra. Caius' friend, Perseus Mercius, only handles higher ranking assignments, so we'll meet him later. With this information, we'll go ahead and make our way to the Balmorra Fighters Guild headquarters.
Quickly, Outlander. I haven't much time.
Don't stand about. Get moving.
Now we can see that
What
Idus
say
is a
you?
fellow Nord like us, so she already likes us 5% more than she normally would. If we ask her about joining the guild, she offers to let us read the rules. So we'll go ahead and read the rules. The rules are really straightforward though. Honor, valor, don't steal from your friends, blah blah blah. Sounds straightforward enough. Yeah, I think we can manage. Nice. And just like that, we've joined the Fighters Guild as an associate. I wonder what kind of amazing quest we're going to get into now that we're in this elite group of mercenaries respected across the Empire. Well, we're going to have to find out next time as we tackle our first quest in the Fighters Guild quest line. So, thank you for joining me for another episode of Lore and Loot Morrowind.